I got a text from Jeffrey Epstein, who at the time was my constituent, who was not public knowledge at that time that he was under federal investigation, and who was sharing information with me. Now, I heard recently from someone that I was seeking advice from him. Let me tell you something. I don't need to get advice on how to question anybody from any individual. I have been a lawyer for 30 years. I have been a narcotics prosecutor in New York City. I have had the honor of being a political appointee at the Justice Department after September 11th as a Republican appointee in the Bush administration. I know how to question individuals. I know how to seek information.
She literally acted as a mouthpiece for his questions. She did not even understand that the person she was speaking about was a human being. She asked if it was an acronym. She was a pass-through vessel for the voice of Jeffrey Epstein. It was a James Bond movie come to life in some ways, where the master criminal has some factotum who's pretending to be, a crusading individual while they take dictation. That she could defend that is far worse than what we just saw. It suggests to me that we regularly see what she doesn't feel is that outrageous. We regularly see Congresspeople acting as literal mouthpieces for individuals unknown in congressional hearings in which people's futures are at stake. That's terrifying.
It really is. And I got to mention this. She talked about how she wasn't aware. And as Lee Fong pointed out this week, he did a bunch of reporting about Stacey Plaskett and Epstein a few years ago. But there's a deposition that she gave about the attempt to solicit money from Jeffrey Epstein for the DCCC. And there is an exchange in the deposition. Question: do you recall what you learned as was the reason why the DCCC would not accept Mr. Epstein's contribution? Answer: yes. Question: what was that? That he had not passed their vetting. Question: what did you understand that to be a reference to? Answer: I did not know the specifics of what that vetting was. Question: did you assume that it related to his status as a sex offender? And so, in other words, she was already aware that he didn't pass a DCCC vetting at the time that she was talking about.
He'd already been convicted in 2011.
Right. She's just sort of theoretically saying that I didn't know that, right, or something like that.
She's saying that she didn't know he was under another investigation.
Whatever. She's in a deposition in writing saying that I was that he didn't pass a vet of my own party before this incident where she's taking dictation from him in the middle of a hearing. It's a clown show, the whole thing.
Matt, I'm so much because I imagine in a dramatic sense, thinking I might want to put on a play of what's happening, how things actually go down. I'm so much more frightened of this than I think others are. Jeffrey Epstein was sitting somewhere with a television on, okay? Let's reconstruct it. If somebody wants to do an AI reconstruction of this, I'd welcome it. He was sitting somewhere with a television on. He had
getting a massage.
Maybe with somebody else in the room massaging him. He was usually getting a massage. It said that he had sex sometimes 6 times a day. So, who knows what was going on in that room?
As Matthew McConaughey would say, those are rookie numbers.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So Jeffrey Epstein's in a room, quite possibly with a masseuse. He's got a television on. She's asking questions. He's got his phone out. He's dictating questions to her in real time, while Michael Cohen, a man whose freedom was at stake, really, is sitting there, in the dock. Jeffrey Epstein at one point hears her mouth making noises and says, "Are you chewing?" That establishes the alpha nature of the relationship. Whoever gets to ask, "Are you chewing?" Is holding,
and whoever doesn't answer, "Fuck you,"
and then says, "Not anymore."
Right?
Was that quick enough for you? Anyway, so that's going on. Every word that Jeffrey is piping into her head, she then only asks about so that she can repeat it accurately. She then asks the question. Now, imagine if the board of Pfizer, say, is sitting in a room with a television on, and let's say Elizabeth Warren or Bernie Sanders at the other end, while we're watching RFK being confirmed. And they are reading off those questions. Is that the American system? Because Jeffrey Epstein's words were then immunized, basically. If you pipe them through a congressional mouth, they can then, I guess the person who speaks them rather than the person who dictates them is considered by law the author of them. Maybe they shouldn't be, frankly. Maybe this is the auto mouth scandal to match the auto pen scandal.
Right.
We have failed in our imagination by thinking that our elected representatives are anything else but pass-through instruments for the words and wishes of others. Quite literally. The other hands sign the documents. Other mouths speak the questions. We're getting close to a unified field theory of what's wrong. And it may be that these people are plumbing through which water moves that originate somewhere else. And they are just the faucets out of which it comes. And that is what I look forward to in the Epstein case. Because I know he didn't do this once. No one's even asked her how many times he did this. Did this ever happen before? Is this a practice that you have, used before with other constituents? How many others? Which ones? No one has pressed her at all. People don't want to know the answer. The answer to the auto pen thing and the answer to the auto mouth thing may scare the living daylights out of America. They may find that these people are literally like, remember that the fairground where you can put your head in Billy the kid's body?
Exactly. Yeah. Or the hammerhead shark or whatever it is, right?
Right.
Yeah, or the ear of corn. That's another favorite of mine.
See, we have this old-fashioned thing that things go down at lunch on K Street or something, or in boardrooms, and then the person, the congressperson has to actually remember what they were told as they cross the street and go up to Congress. No, in this age, they may very simply, and we've argued about earpieces and presidential debates and so on.
Right. Yeah.
I'm going to presume now that these people are being given their questions by the major donors and the enterprises that support them. That she felt she had no fear of getting caught. There were people all around her. She had, this is apparently standard practice from what I can say. See?
Yeah, no, there's one clip where people are even doing the jazz hands thing behind her, cheering on her explanation.
Question. Did you ever expect that it would come out that Jeffrey Epstein would be piping questions into the ear at fraught congressional hearings of a congressperson who would then verbatim repeat his questions? Did you think that was possible before you found this out?
I would have thought that was impossible a few years ago, or maybe 5 or 6 years ago. My estimation of what members of Congress do has dropped significantly. Although there are some that I still admire and I think still do the work, but it has become show business for a lot of people, and the model of people who just get up, yell at witnesses for 5 minutes, then send out clips to fundraising clips, and that's the entire job that they do. They don't write legislation. They don't really do anything else. There's a growing number of those folks, right?
A lot of them come in right before they are to question the witness. They haven't even heard what's gone on before.
Oh, no, yeah. Well, that was always, but they were prepared usually. Yeah.
And then they get up afterwards and leave and go to another hearing and do the same damn thing. America, did you feel that we would be in a war with Russia at a time when we didn't know who the commander-in-chief was?
No.
We're being shown something that I think we're either expected to learn from. The God of sanity and rationality is saying, okay, I'm going to keep making it more and more obvious until you do something. Or we're being prepared for a completely new sort of governance in which actors and Marine bands and helicopters carry out the ceremonies of Washington, D.C. for those who still remember them, and other parties, other individuals, corporations, boards, NGOs, and so on, simply pipe in instructions. And the fact that no one has objected, no one has said, this never happens, or don't worry, she did something outrageous, or I've never done that. The resounding silence tells me this is how they operate. She was telling us that she was getting texts from all kinds of people during this time. Were any of her other questions spoken into her phone? How often does she do this? No one asks.